Last week, we reviewed Angela Duckworth's New York Times bestselling book, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Of all the books we discussed in class, this was my favorite because so many of her philosophies apply to my own life, especially as it pertains to my career in basketball. The main premise of this book was that achievement is not based on being super talented or smart. Instead, success is scientifically linked to grit, which is a measure of your toughness and perseverance to achieve a goal. Duckworth, a former middle school math teacher, said she first noticed this when some of her smarter kids began performing worse than her other students who weren't as naturally gifted. This is because many of her students lack grit, and when the subject matter got difficult, they hit a wall and shut down mentally. According to Duckworth, grit is the biggest predictor of lifelong achievement, and personally, I agree with her. During my 6 years working in basketball, I realized that toughness is often the one trait that separates good players from the great ones. I've met so many naturally talented players that did not have a gritty mentality, and as a result, they never lived up to their fullest potential as players. While there's no scientific way to develop grit, Duckworth laid out 4 steps that she believes will help you maximize your grittiness. The first step is to develop a fascination with the work you do. What she means by this is that you have to love the work you do at its core. If you're not fascinated with the work you're doing, you'll never develop the power to stick with it when the times get tough. This explains why I've been able to last in basketball over the past 6 years as opposed to other things that I've done where I have not had the same fascination and therefore did not succeed down those paths. Basketball is literally my only interest. I spend the majority of my day at practice, working with players or studying film. I'm curious about every little detail and take pride in learning all I can about the game. With any job, though, I've experienced a lot of highs and lows in basketball, and without this fascination, I probably would have quit a long time ago. The second step is to make an effort to improve daily. Many say that you become an expert at something when you've put in 10,000 hours of work. But more important than the number of hours of work is the quality of work that you put into perfecting your craft. In sports, there are so many athletes that spend countless hours working out. But if not practicing at game speed and really pushing themselves, they won't experience much improvement. The harder you commit yourself to getting better, the more prideful you'll be about your work, and as a result, your grit will increase. The third step is to remind yourself of your daily purpose, because higher levels of purpose will equate to increased levels of grit. When I first began working for UMBC basketball, my purpose was to use my experience here as a stepping stone to one day work in the NBA. Over time, though, I realized that my purpose had nothing to do with the NBA and everything to do with helping student athletes be the best they can be. Whether it meant taking players to doctor's appointments or helping them after practice or just spending quality time with them, my purpose became bigger than basketball. Once I realized this, I began dedicating all my time to the team, knowing that my work affected more than just myself. And finally, the fourth step is to develop a growth mindset. This is so important because ultimately success is dependent on mentality more than skill. You have to convince yourself that you can improve and that you will get better despite the obstacles in your way. Every time I walk into practice, I'm the least knowledgeable person on our staff because I'm working with people who have been coaching for 15 to 20 years. But even so, this doesn't discourage me because I relish the opportunity to come in every day and learn from the people who are far more experienced than I am. Mindset is half the battle. If you believe in your abilities, you'll achieve much more than those who are unable to get over this hurdle. Overall, I really enjoyed Duckworth's book because it was a friendly reminder that success is more dependent on purpose and perseverance rather than natural talent. It's an indication that anyone can be successful if they're strong-minded and commit themselves to being the very best they can be.